Good morning, folks. Welcome to another episode of Something More Than Gibberish. Today is episode 54, and I'm fortunate to be featuring a local artist that I know in my local area. We catch up at open mic events and so forth. And he is none other than Thabani Tshuma. He's originally from Zimbabwe and resides in Melbourne. He's very active on the open mic scenes. He even hosts couple of events, even either weekly or monthly. Very supportive of everybody on the platform. He's a published author, and his work is second to none. A very powerful writer, and most of all, he's just such a beautiful soul. He is always non-assuming, and yet the power of his words are just mesmerizing. And when Thabani attends a live event that I'm at, immediately I'm on a high, looking forward to hearing his work. Actually, Thabani is just coming to the room. So Thabani, if you put in a request to come up, I'll drag you up and we can get this show on the road. I am so looking forward to this. It's been a long time coming. Okay, let me bring Thabani up. And thank you to everybody who's come in the room. Hey, Thabani, how are
Hello,
you?
hello. I'm good. How are you doing?
Very good, man. Very good. Hiya days. Yeah, the rooms, people are coming in. Thank you to all. Man, it has been a long overdue spell to get you on here. But I am thankful that it's finally happened. Um, I cannot
Good.
wait to get this show on the road.
Thanks for having me.
Mate,
Um, I'm hyped. Like,
it
no better
is
way to spend a Saturday morning, Saturday
Saturday
morning.
morning. We're already a day ahead of the rest of the world, so let's not go 2 days ahead. Uh, man, I was just saying to the audience, you're an amazing poet. The power of your word, especially when you
Oh,
write in such a varied genre, it's captivating. But through it all, you would happen to be one of the most unassuming people I know, and perhaps that is why I find your work so taken to another level.
mm,
Um, it's absolutely, poetry aside, it absolutely is a pleasure to have crossed paths with you through life's journey, man. It
oh,
really is,
deeply appreciate it. And right back at you, reflective.
man. So tell me, how long ago did you come from Zimbabwe to Australia or make Melbourne home?
Um, about 10 years now. I want to say 10 years. 20, I think I came in 2014. So 11 years. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Wow. And since you left Zimbabwe, Melbourne's been home, or did you live anywhere else in Australia?
I lived in America. So after I left Zimbabwe after high school and then went to America for a couple of years before coming to Australia. So I think that was home for a bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like the concept of home has always been shifting. Like even now, I hesitate to call Australia home, even though like I've been here for like 11 years now. It's
Yeah.
still, I don't know, home is less, for me, less of a place, but more of like that feeling and that community. You know, I find home in the people around me, and they're not tied to any one particular place. You know, they're all scattered across the globe. Um, and we meet in different parts of the globe, and that's where we carry a piece of home with us
That is so true, man. To me, home is where I'm at the moment.
at the
Like
moment.
tomorrow, I don't know where I'll be.
100%.
And that's how I've lived my life all the time. So tell me, did your writing start before you left Zimbabwe, or where did the writing start?
The writing started back when I was like maybe in primary school, high school. But the performing only started here in Australia. Because like back in like primary school, high school, decades ago, I started writing music before poetry, and then in high school I took like a English lit class, and I was like, oh, this is the same thing that I've been doing, but just calling it something different. It's the same structures. Songs have verses, poems have stanzas. They use the same kind of poetic tools, the alliteration, metaphor, rhyme, meter. It's all like they're very close cousins, like songwriting and poetry. And I was like, oh, I've been doing this anyway. Um, and because I'm not much of a musician, I went with the poetry route. But then with performing, it was only when I moved to the northern suburbs, specifically here in Melbourne, because that's where a lot of like the poetry events happen. And I was kind of like, oh, I've heard of like performance poetry and spoken word. I've seen like stuff on YouTube, but I've never actually like tried it out myself. And then I was like, oh, might as well let me go to an event. What's the worst that can happen? And then I went and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this so much. Like the community was so welcoming. The people were just like a vibe. And I was like, wow, this is something that I really love doing. And I feel like poetry as an art form like should be spoken and should be like performed. I think that's its like natural state.
Yeah. Well, I'm fairly fortunate. I've always been a Melbourneite that lived north of the Yarra, and always fondly call anybody south of the Yarra Mexicans. So,
In the heart.
and that's where, as you said, most of the events are held. So I'm very fortunate, and I'm also very fortunate that you elected to start attending these open mic sessions and performing sessions, because I had the pleasure of meeting you, crossing paths with you, hearing your work, and befriending you, which has been an absolute gift. It really
Mm.
has.
Oh, I appreciate it.
And as much as I'd say as you get enjoyment, man, I can see the energy in a room lift, the smiles that crease people's faces as soon as they see that you've attended, right? That's a lot. And that's your performance, your work, but also who you are as a person.
Oh, stop it.
No, it really is true, man. It really is true. Uh, Credit's got to be given, and it really is. And I think as poets or as writers, we
Mm,
have the benefit of being able to touch people's hearts on a global level. That is why the whole purpose behind this show is I like to showcase people whose work is profound to people in some corner of the world who might not have that friend, that family member close at
mm,
hand when they're in a dark place.
yeah,
And hearing the words of people featured might be all they need at that time to get them out of that dark place, right?
mm,
They have access to be able to reach out to people like yourself and saying, "Hey, I'm in a dark place, brother. I need somebody to talk to," right? And also it's showcasing people beyond their locality to a wider platform, right?
yeah.
So that said, this show is all about Thabani Tshuma, showcasing him, his work, all about him to a global level. As you know, I create a YouTube out of this, and I also do a podcast, which I'll share links with you. So you
Mm,
don't know who could hear this or watch this. So
Yeah.
I am just a facilitator here, so ignore me. And I want you to run this. I want you to show the world all about Thabani, right? The depth of your work, the person you are.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
love it. And that's the beauty of the internet is like um, the ability to kind of connect us across the entire planet, and we can
now,
share different
now
parts of ourselves.
here's a small shows you how small the world is.
Oh,
There-
hundred tiny.
There's a gentleman here on the show right now, Ramon Carty. He goes by Ramrock Speaks. He knows you
Oh yeah,
from when you
poetry
used to go on
battle.
his poetry battles. There you go.
Oh, what
So
a throwback!
now he's in Canada. A friend of mine, like, well, I've known Ram for quite a while now, and I always pop in and out of his lives because it's hard for us. It's our work day when they're in the evening, right?
Yeah.
But I do pop in and see them. And matter of fact, yesterday I was in between meetings, jumped on a live that Ram was a guest on, and yeah,
Mm.
it caught up. So, and here's Ram knows you from Poetry Battles. So there you go, man.
What a time! That was. I feel like that period really helped me get through the lockdowns that we had here,
Yep.
um, because it was just a space for writers to connect across the globe. I think that was like one of the most interesting parts is like even though here in Nam we were like severely locked down, it opened us up to the entire world. I've never been more globally connected through poetry than I was during that time. Because it's like this is all we're doing is like
Yeah.
lives and just internet meetings. But it's like you could have be connecting with someone in New York in the morning, Madrid in the afternoon, you're in Berlin in the evening, and it's just like I was doing a world tour, but from the comfort of my home.
Yeah. So, in being the most lockdown city in the world through the pandemic, you actually did us a favor. There you go, as writers.
Yeah.
Um, Man, yeah, that blows me away, right? And I'm so glad I was able to pop in and say hi, and yeah, so yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So good.
Um, Now, tell us about the. You've also got a book that you published too, right?
Yes.
Have you got a copy of that you can showcase and where people can get that from?
Got it right here. The Gospel of Unmade Creation. Um, I think the best way to get it is online, especially for folks not in Australia. In Australia, it's your local bookshop, um, but abroad. And I think there's a link in my bio, surely. Um, but yeah, if you just Google the Gospel of Unmade Creation,
The
something will
Gospel of
come up.
Unmade Creation.
Mm.
Tell us about the title. Where did that come from? What was the foundation of that? Unmade
Um,
Creation.
it's a line in one of the poems. Um, maybe I'll get to it if I can find it. I couldn't tell you which poem, but I know it's a line in one of the poems. Um, but I thought it's something that perfectly captures for me what the book is about. Because that idea of um, a gospel as the good news, not necessarily like a religious, the Gospel of Mark, but like in its like traditional form, the gospel is just good news.
Mm.
Um, so it's the good news of unmade creation, basically. And the book looks at the ways that I have made myself, and in that journey, have had to unmake myself. Kind of all the labels and all the ways society tells you to be that you or that I followed that made me into a version of myself that I thought I was. And in getting to, or I guess trying to discover that authentic self, was for me a process of unmaking and taking apart all the different pieces that I had put together. So I think that's what the book is about, is like that journey of deconstructing self as a way to discover like what it is, what's at the chewy center, you know?
Mm. Mm.
um,
I can really relate to that because, yeah, life is about letting go of what we think we are or who we think we are and
yeah.
learn constantly through growth. But Unmade Creations also says to me, future. What's
Yeah.
that, right? What's that future blossom going to look like?
100%. And the potential in there. I feel like that journey of self is never complete. It's like we're never finished
Yeah.
doing the work of, you know, unpacking ourselves, but also like rebuilding and creating
Yeah.
the people that we want to be. That's what we spend our entire life doing.
Mm. Man, as I said before, I'm glad that I could at least witness a small chapter of this unfolding soul. So, yeah. Would you like to share some pieces? I want to try and get as much of your poem as possible, man, because I know how much pleasure I get every time I hear you read. And I need to find out more about the shows that you host or co-host here as well, because I
Mm,
get to one of them. I only very recently realized that you even host a show here through
yeah.
Yara, somebody like that. So
Mm.
I haven't had the opportunity to even come out and be just to be in the audience in one of your shows. So,
Come, come, come.
yeah, mate, definitely. You get some big guns here, Mr. Witz. Welcome. Long time between drinks, my friend. It's been a while. Our seniors there, we've got some great people here coming to see you, man. So the stage is all yours.
Cool. Let's see what's in the book. I feel like I read a lot of the same pieces generally, so what I want to do is maybe read some of the ones that I don't read that often. That could be fun.
Mhm.
Um, what am I feeling? This is always it's like should have created a set list. Mm, let me. I'm trying to find the one with the. Ah, yes, this is the one with the
Title.
title, um, and it's called Origami Origins. Watch as this unfolds itself. An animated origami object undoing its creation, wanting nothing more than to be paper. It was always paper, until we made it something else, blank before the fold, blank before the ink dance or cursor blink. Let there be nothing, followed by 6 days of rest, and a seventh reserved for penance proportional to plagiarized piety, the gospel of unmade creation. We do not pray for born saints here. Revere the slate as unblemished as blackness, castigate the actors playing God, redact the word God from colloquial use, store it in sacracity for future use in blasphemy and other tricks of truth. As for me or you, the same as always will be a predestined damnation. Damn, Dante was onto something. 9 circles always had a nice ring, a matrimonial conclusion. We, the dead, do our part in unbecoming.
Wow. And your selection of words are amazing. And even in something simple, you can convey quite a profound message within there.
Mm.
Wanting to be nothing more than paper. How often? sometimes all we want to do is be nothing more than who we are.
Than who we are, yeah.
And yet we spend a life trying to be what society, what other people want us to be.
Yeah.
There's such, I mean, those lines like that I could reflect in meditation on for ages, you know. They're powerful. The other thing that I really love hearing you reading your own work is your cadence and the clarity of
Mhm.
pronunciation is perfect. It just allows plenty of time for every word to be digested, that soon the listener is absorbed right into that piece.
That's the hope. And like I guess it goes back to what I was saying. It's like for me, um, speaking poetry is the natural state. Like that's how it should be. Well, I hate to use shoulds, but like that's that's
Yeah.
my favorite way to experience it. I think there's so much magic in like the spoken.
Mm.
It's a prayer, it's an incantation, it's a poem.
Yes, it's the ancient art of storytelling, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. What inspired that piece?
I Great question. That's hard question to answer because it's a weird thing about the book is it took so long to actually get it published that a lot of the pieces are from like years ago. Um, so I can't accurately speak to like what exactly it was. I'm like, wow, that's almost a different person. Um, which is like an interesting relationship to have with a body of work is like putting it out into the world and other people experiencing it for the first time. But to me, it's like so retrospective and it's like, oh, trying to come and joy. It's like it makes me see how time is so like malleable and non-linear because people are experiencing it now for the first time. But for me, that experience is long gone. But then in connecting over it, we're bringing that experience into the now for me. And it's like a weird, like, bit of time travel that I
Yeah,
get to do.
yeah.
Visit past versions of myself.
It's it's a good signpost to prompt us of where we have been sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because when when 4, 5, 6 decades of your life have passed, it's a long way down the road, man. So sometimes reading those, I mean, in my first book, because I'd been writing for like 25 years before I even or made my work socially available. I was sometimes I read stuff that I wrote in the late 80s. A lot of you guys probably weren't even born then, right? A lot of the people that we see at open mics. And shit, this is where I am because I mean, when you think, let's say, late 80s, that's nearly 35, 40 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, man, it's yeah. Now, a reason I asked too is what prompted that piece because the pieces that I have heard of yours are quite varied.
Mm.
And one of my favorites is that piece. I cannot remember the name of, but you know the one I'm talking about, where you mashed up. Yeah, it was quite hilarious almost. Where, do you know what I'm talking about?
Ooh, no, tell
You
me more.
read
Tell
it.
me more. Keep going.
You read it at Radio Bar. It was like you picked some random words that we use and you just mashed it up into a.
Yes, yes, I know the one.
Yeah. I hope you can share that one. I mean, that
Yes.
shows your capability as a writer, right? That's a lot of people can write about, a certain genre or whether it's political views or whether it's,
Mhm.
the LGBTQ plus or whether it's religion or whether it's life's passage or through the pain of love, etc. But
Mhm.
got this wide array of stuff, man, and that blew me away. I never Oh, you had the whole audience just blown away when you read that piece. It was so funny, and it was like because sometimes it's. while poetry for the most should be a healing journey, it also
Mm,
can be uplifting and hilarious and put a smile, because to me, a smile or a laugh is the best healing medicine that one can ever have. So,
100%.
you know, and being able to write like that I mean, I've got, I don't have a comedic sort of bone in my body. As most of my friends say, I'm as funny as a hat full of arseholes, right? So that's, I've got no humor in, so I can't write. So when I hear people who can write off silly things that can make bring a laugh out of you, I actually love it.
Yeah.
So, um, what are the things that inspire you to write?
Mm. I I think a lot of it comes from what I experience. Um, but I feel like over the years that like the inspiration behind writing has changed from me. So I feel like I come to it at different points. Like when I started writing, it was a way to find clarity
Mhm.
and kind of work through my emotions, my experiences, my feelings. Um, and then that kind of evolved into more of a love for language and a love for the craft of writing.
Mhm.
So that also became like one of my main inspirations to write is like looking at ways that I can improve my craft, but also like play within it and be like, what are the bounds? Like where are the limitations of how I can write, how I can express something, and what are the, you know, what are other people doing? Is always a great inspiration for me. Is like seeing I will go to like an open mic or I'll read someone's book and be like, oh my God, like I've never thought of trying that. That's so cool. What would it look like to put my own spin on this technique or this topic or this form? Like how can I make that into something? Like how can I express that through the lens of my experience and like my interaction with the world? How can I bring my uniqueness into it? So I think those are like the three main is like write for personal clarity, write for experimentation in craft, and then write inspired by what other people are doing and like what other people are making across different art forms. I think those are my main. So depending on the day, it's one of those. I'm doing one of those.
Yeah. Well, speaking of exploring creativity, I absolutely loved what you and Yaru created.
Oh, that was so much fun. Just Yaru is insanely talented across all the full gamut of instruments that he
He
played.
plays a whole list of instruments he plays, and he plays so well. He only
Yeah.
lives about 5 minutes around the corner from me, man.
Oh,
Get fucked up.
sick.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Get
And
on it. Get jamming with him.
man, he is an amazing soul. He's actually featured. I featured him on this show probably a couple of months back too. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember he played some.
But really loved what the two of you came up together with, and you being able to change up the cadence of your
Mm.
title too with the music was phenomenal. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
it was really fun. And I think that was um, the most like interesting part for me is like taking something old and being like, let's do something new with it. Like how can we breathe new life into this? How can we make it something different, but still retain the core essence? It's like that play was just like so much fun. And
Yeah.
just being like, oh, what if we do this? What if we do this? Let's do it. And just the creative energy was just amazing.
Well, certainly commendable to both of you, man. It really was. Yeah. Is there another book on the way?
Yes, but eventually it's kind of just like waiting.
Yeah,
I I have ideas. I have an idea that I want to explore, but it's just like making time to actually write. So what I'm doing now is like kind of um, scavenging pizzas, and when there's when there's like a bit of research I want to do, I have this massive folder where I'm just like chucking things. I'll write a like part of a poem and put it in there. I'll write a line here and put it in there, so it's all just like I'm assembling all the blocks necessary to create this work.
yeah,
um, and I think that's the process, which is always interesting, is like approaching a body of work versus like an individual poem. I feel like for me, the process is very, it's very different, but it's also very much the same. It's like my process is collecting little pieces and then fitting them around you, like playing with them, to create something bigger. And that carries across from like just the individual poem versus like a larger scale, um, fuller narrative, which is always, it's just like a cool like thing to explore.
yeah,
Like I said, like the craft is what gets me going. So I'm just
yeah.
like obsessed with how we make things and the processes behind them.
And I think that timing has to feel right too. My third book, I'm probably about a year and a half overdue on it, but
Mm.
at all. But in my life hasn't quite aligned to what that next book's about. It's so my first book was Life, the Journey of the Soul,
Mhm.
and then Growth, Enlightenment of the Soul, and the next one is Love, the Soul Finds Peace. And I don't think I've found that. I'm there, but I haven't found 100% peace yet. So the book, my life is not ready for the book at
For
the
the
moment.
book.
So,
100%.
yeah. So yeah, but when the time's right, I'm sure it'll happen. Um, do you want to share another piece of your poetry, maybe? And
Let's do it. Let me see if I can find that one you were talking about. What's it called? I feel like I should be so much better in knowing what my poems are. I'm always like, what's that one that I did that was that time? Um,
I remember I'm hopeless with names and numbers. I remember the venue. I remember what you were wearing. It was at Radio Bar when you read it, but I couldn't tell you the name of the piece because I'm hopeless with names and numbers. I'm lucky to know the street around the corner from me, the name of it, but I can describe every house in it.
that's okay. I found it. It's called Dead Ringer. I'm annoyed by mountains, the way they mimic mole hills. Maybe it's the other way round. I tend to bark up the wrong spilt milk. You can't judge a storm by the size of its teacups. The details get twisted like the devil in a grain of salt mostly. I bite off more than breaks the ice, and make hay when it pours, a chip off the old cold shoulder. Ignorance comes to those who wait, and adds 1,000 words to injury. The way you can't make an omelette without all your eggs in the same basket, and all that glitters has a silver lining once. Two birds of a feather called the kettle shy. Twice for the bite both died and blamed a stone. I think your guess is as good as your own medicine. It tastes like stolen thunder, and it's hard to make a long story laugh last. Someone said we were the calm before contempt. Large in our smallness, it all seems unfamiliar now. Perhaps we should just let sleeping dogs change their spots.
Um, there's a whole basket full of stuff that people use from day to day, and you made such a story out of it. But though it wasn't just nonsensical sort of story,
Mm.
things that you could really meditate on,
Yeah.
you really reflect on. We were the calm before the storm, like
Mm.
at one time that we were at peace, that innocent child born before the conscious mind developed, and then the storm
100%.
and what is that storm? It's just that conscious mind developing, right? We are our own
We
storm.
are, yeah. We are the storm.
And then you go full circle, and then I see, like people like my own mother, for example, as she aged before she passed away, she literally let go of that conscious mind,
Mm.
and lived it pure joy inside that innocence of the child in there. You
Yeah.
know, things seeing the grandkids and holding the great grandkids and that innocence, and she didn't care what she looked like and
Yeah.
what she had and so forth. Didn't worry about where did the next meal come from and all this sort of shit that caused our storm, right? But you so cleverly did that, you know. Um, and my respect for you as a writer is said in that piece. You know what I mean?
Oh, stop it.
It really is because, like, as Tom DeSaro said, who's a prolific author, he's got four massive books of about 500 pages, just under shy of 500 pages each, and he writes. He's very disciplined. He spends a couple of hours each day before wakes up at the crack of dawn and writes before. And as you said, that's a very creative piece of writing. It really is. You know, I want to hear more of your stuff, man. Or anything else that you've got coming up that you like to share. This is your show, man. So I want you to show the world who Thabani is. You know.
Yeah, I'll read a couple more.
Yeah.
Um, this is like an older piece that I used to like, but then I don't. Again, coming back to that idea of like I tend like whenever I'm reading from the book, I tend to like read the same pieces.
Yeah.
Uh, so I wanna read the some of the ones that I don't usually read, and this is one of them, and it's called "The Prodigal Son."
Mm.
My father was a gambling man, like the old song goes, like his father before, like me, as the rising sun built on sand instead of stone, and perhaps this is not a proper poem. Or does it only cease to be after announcing that? Was there a moment before it? In the silence, the stuttering misstep untaken for the sake of not breaking a promise I was promised the world once. So I sowed my dreams as seeds and buried them in the depths of me for all eternity, and perhaps you've heard of me. I am known to some as the prodigal son I left with no intent to return, but intentions left unattended tend to burn the hopes they hold in their wake. Make no mistake. I played my hand to chance with a flick of heads or tails to wish me well. I now dare to dwell too long on the past, fervently intoxicated by nostalgia. Memories, unlike those buried dreams, have longer life expectancy. They plague us with their haunting joys and fears we don't expect to see. Shut eyes would see as specters see if sleep could bring me peace. I'm puzzled. In pieces, the fractals reflecting varying spectrums to place myself upon, they beg. May the prodigal son be raised, akin to light, though weighed by skin as dark as night, to be brighter than the snowy glow it wished to imitate, yet missed the spinning loom of fate, a grasp to reach too little, too late, to be swallowed for the things you hate, but hate to love. I gave everything I had to be enough. then gave a little more to feel in love, the same visceral yet satirical slice of comedy and tragedy that spurred Alighieri's quest from hell through paradise by way of seven-layered sins, incited since by nature's abhorrence of vacuums where every empty throne must have a king, magnificent, resplendent, but ultimately as false as the gods who would ordain, and would such pain have paupers call for regal praise, for a subtle touch of royal cloth to cure the world's malaise as if it could, as if my darlings were not so long deceased that killing them would be redundancy, and my heroes turned out to be mortal, flawed, and fallible. The invaluable lessons are learned, and I'm wary to make my return to the moment it started, as two lips parted and uttered, "Son, go live out your poem."
Oh, what a perfect ending line, right? What a perfect ending line. Go out and live life. Yeah, go out
Yeah.
and story. Um, I sow my dreams as seeds. If only we do sow those inner yearnings, those inner voice dreams, those desires,
Yeah.
instead of thinking about what the hell society wants us to be or our partners, our loved ones want us to be. And I've always been the black sheep in my family, like in
Me
every
too.
matter. Yeah. My poor mother, like every term, she would have to go to the principal because I beat the shit out of somebody or got into some fight, all kinds of shit, police knocking on the door. There's my oldest. There was nothing, never. I was the one who took off 10 years. I rode around this country just on my own for 10 years, right?
Mm.
I could do it, and I played my hand to chance. Take the gamble in life, right? We can't just live within the fear of being in those safety of those walls.
Yeah.
If you want to live life like that bud or that flower, you got to be exposed to the elements, right?
Gotta take a little risk.
Rain, hail, wind, or sunshine, man, that flower blossoms. It blossoms. But
Mm.
us humans, we're always worried about, are we going to blossom to the best? Are we this? Are we that? Will
Yeah.
we? A flower never cares. It just blossoms.
Yep.
And there's a couple other lines that there was one. They plague us with their haunting joy. There's the dreams. I'm assuming. I think I've missed the word before. I mean, sometimes when you see people who live in their ivory castles, who have everybody's desires. Like look at major film stars and musicians and all that.
Mm.
Like Jacksons, your Elvis Presleys and all. They've had everything, right? But yet there was something missing. There was something haunted souls there. And is it because some of those inner dreams they couldn't live those? Is that what what plagues us with that haunting sort of.
Mm.
And one that really is so true. We stopped and looked back in hindsight. My heroes turned out to be mortal. How many people have you idealized through youth, through adolescence, through young adulthood, through,
100%.
and today you look at them and you're going, what the fuck did I
They're
really?
just people.
Yes, exactly. And it, I've lived my life like that. I don't call anybody sir, or I never speak up or down to anybody. I treat everyone the same. I speak to my managing directors that I've reported to the same way as I would to the janitors.
Yeah.
I've met 3 or 4 of our prime ministers in person. I've played golf with one of them even, right? And there's no sirs or Mr. Prime Minister shit like that. It's first name. Hi, Mel.
Personal.
Hi, Bob. That's how I speak to them, right? I don't. At the end of the day, they're just a person that's no different to me, no
Yep.
different to you, no different to that street kid, right? They're all human. We all got the capacity, given the right chance and the right
Yeah.
opportunity. So my heroes turned To be mortal is a very, very powerful statement to me that I align with so much.
Yeah, 100%. And it's even like for me um, that idea of the ideal self as an aspirational thing, and realizing that even even having yourself as a hero is you're just a person, and you don't need to like strive beyond that ideal. You can just be a person, and that's fine, and that's all. You know, the true heroism is in just self acceptance and just being who you are, rather than placing yourself on this pedestal that you're always reaching for and always trying to achieve.
I don't strive for anything. I've never reached for anything to a point where I'm so unassuming that one of the things that I do struggle, and people pull me up on this, and
Mm.
I'm trying, even an old dog can learn new tricks, and I'm trying. I struggle with receiving a compliment. I'm the first,
Mm.
man, but I struggle because I see myself as anything other than just a nobody, right?
Yeah.
I see everybody as a nobody, and I see everybody as an everybody. You know what I mean? If that, I see everybody as everything, and I see everybody as nothing. We're all one. It's just we're in a state of transition through a physical journey, right? So I struggle to when people say, "Oh, you did great in this project here, or in this work, or you do
Mm.
well in managing teams, you do great with your space." And I'm going, I struggle with that shit. I really do.
Yeah, I'm the exact same.
But I think that humbleness, to me, is why I have succeeded. Why people say
Mm.
it's that, uh, and you look at all the great people. You look at all the that you look at like the Mandelas, you look at the Gandhis, you look at all these people. You look at each of the the whatever foundational sort of religion, whether you called him a Jesus, a Vishnu, a Krishna, or
Mm.
um, always that unassuming sort of persona, right? Didn't live as a king in gold and
Yeah.
and that is the minute you start seeing yourself in that glittering gold is when you start. To me, I start. So I still run a pro in my profession. I still run a project as the first project that I ran. You know,
Yeah,
nothing changes. Whether I'm running a project with a massive client or just a new startup, I treat them all the same.
it's all the same because it is. It is all the same. Like,
Yeah, yeah. So, Tabani, I think your pieces really speak of who you are inside as a person, which
mm.
I'm normally not wrong in my judgment of character. Very good, man. Your pieces are supporting my my expectation of who you are, or my understanding of who you are, not expectation. That's the wrong word.
Mm.
My understanding of who you are is reflected in your pieces. And I think each line within your pieces are, to me, are a meditation on their own.
Mm.
Each line, and that is the mark of a great writer, and that is the mark of the people that I like to showcase to the world, because to me there could be somebody in some corner of the world right now who's in a very dark place, that one line from one of your pieces.
Mm. And that's all
And
you need.
And I believe in fate. I believe I myself, when I travelled around this, Australia is a pretty wild, big place, right? And I rode for 10 years on my own. There were some pretty hairy moments. And there were times where I was stuck in the middle of nowhere and I hadn't stocked up on supplies. And yet,
Mm.
middle of nowhere in torrential rains, suddenly this person popped out and I had food in the middle of the night, right? So
Good.
I believe in fate that when somebody really needs to hear the words of another, somehow they will hear it when they need.
Mm. When they need it, it will find you.
Yeah, yeah, and I think your work particularly has a very thought-provoking style to it. It has a
Mm.
very healing nature, a very empowering nature to your words, to not even just the poem in its entirety, but each specific line. And
Yeah.
that's a credit to you, my friend.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I'm really honored to have this opportunity to showcase your work to on a wider platform. I really am.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much. It's like
Man.
could do this all day.
And well, that's a valid. Um, this is only the first time, but it's not the last, brother. My door is always open. Whenever you've got things happening, you want to come on back on, and uh, this is just the first. There's quite a few where I've had them more than once. Matter of fact,
Mm.
last week, Michelle, she's from Canada. That was the second time I had her on, and
Yeah.
because she started this thing with mothers for mothers with going through mental health issues, and she herself has had a very tough journey. She made me cry,
Mm.
and so I brought her on just to showcase to the world of what she's offering and the strength of somebody who's had a hell of a lot, but still rose above, but not only risen, but now offering help to others
So
in.
that's yeah, giving back.
But this is just the first time. It's not the last, man. It's the. So feel free to tap me on the shoulder when you got things coming up, or you've got some new pieces or new things and new views you want to share. Let's bring it on because you've seen me pretty
Absolutely.
most weeks, but to
Yeah.
tap me. So let's go to more work. Let's showcase this world of capabilities. This amazing person that Melbourne's lucky to have call it one of its sons for the moment anyway. Own
For
calls.
now, today. So this is a piece. It's called Between Two Points, and I think I was playing with beginnings and endings, which will make sense after I've read the poem. But it goes like this. Here is the exact same place as after someone whose name sounded thunderous applause in praise of you left a wound that scarred like sandpaper, smoothed the grain we cut and back to one. After life is but a dream, a little lie, because of me, myself, and death become undone. It was the night of our lives, and I'm having something I can't pronounce. It sounds like attracts the things we hate about ourselves. It's fireflies in the summer, time and time again. Mistakes were made in the only place that still sells hope, can break a heart like nothing else or other options. Take your pick, my bones, before they turn to ash.
You had me at the title between two. Straight away, I've gone. My 2 points are between the day I was born and the day I will take my last breath, and every bit of shit that happened in between. Right? My between
100.
points to me, the start of a relationship, an emotional bond, to the end of it, to the 1 minute you're fluttering in anxious, nervous, anxious joy that you can't even. You've just said goodbye to her, and you can't wait to for the next. And then the other end of it, you can't bear the thought of her, the tears, and you can't bear the thought of you and hearing her name or seeing her, and I'm going, the joy of starting a new job and you just see it for what it is. That's
Exactly.
our mortal hero, and yeah, fuck, I can't wait to get out of this organization. It's funny. So what is it? Is our expectations and our disappointments? What is that polarity
You know,
there?
those I feel like for me it's the that continuation is like there's no real separation. It all just keeps it's cyclical. It all just keeps going and it all just continues into the next. Um and what we leave behind is already ahead of us and where we are. There's no journey. It's just we're constantly in motion.
Saying the repetitive sort of cycle,
Yeah.
and I myself have witnessed in my own life in, say, relationships. Is it what we, what is the benefit? What is the prize there? Is it what we've learned or what we've grown? And is a repetition to learn what we haven't, what we
What
failed
we
to?
failed. I don't know. I feel like for me, the cycle is the point. It's there is no. It's not about getting out. It's about being in it, and like fully being in it. It's that. What's that line of like? Imagine Sisyphus happy, pushing the boulder up the hill. It's like
Yeah.
that's it. It's not about escape. It's just about pure presence within the cycle.
True, true, definitely. If you're not an active participant in that play, then you'll never learn the virtues of that character you're playing for sure.
Yeah.
What I have found, I mean, I'm an old bastard, and I've got of many decades of experience here. What I've found is I've had the same style of relationship repeated.
Mm,
But when I've learned, say, let's just say if it was a possessiveness,
yeah.
I always had people, I was in relationships who were quite, stimulated that possessiveness until I rose
Mm,
above. And then the next relationships from there onwards stopped being like that, and there was another lesson to learn.
yeah.
And that's what I find the way my life, anyway, can only speak for me. What I found is like, and the same thing with jobs, where I've felt that need to control, I was made to not have control. But then when I had no need to control, and I was able, then there was never that issue never came up again.
Mm,
It's above each lesson, or that I had to learn of myself, my own
yeah.
weakness, which might be different for somebody else.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, like we're creatures of pattern. It's like
Mm. Yeah,
until we recognize the pattern, we can't do anything
yeah.
different.
And as you said, to do that, we can't be a member of the audience on our journey. We've got to be fully immersed and fully present.
Mm, fully in it. Yeah.
Man, your work, I can just talk about each of your pieces forever, So I'm gonna shut up and just let you work, because honestly, this is what I love with your work, man. I really, we'll definitely
Yeah.
have an episode too.
We must. We must.
As
Okay.
you,
This piece is called "Message in a Bottle." The stock price of talk changed. It's still cheap, but it got louder. The buzz makes it hard to hear, so I wrote you a message in a bottle. The practice was familiar, similar to the stacked Tupperware awkwardly holding my emotions. I'm an expert at fitting things in vessels they do not belong. It was wrong. Just the best way to get by. I tell myself to get by. You never said goodbye, and I resent you for it. The pain, too, is boxed away. I store it right behind the trillion things I never got to say, like how you smell of vanilla and coconut, and how now I hate them both. I've discovered that the people who survive become the ghosts. We trade our peace for you to rest in, damned to watch the hurting lesson, to never truly know what's moving on and what's forgetting back to the message. The first line said, I'm sorry, don't worry, I'll be fine. I followed that with an immediate admittance I was lying. What came next might be blurred out. I find it hard to write while crying. Perhaps the tears and ink simply say, I love you. I chose brevity. the way you always nagged me to, sealed the bottle like a secret with a whisper, not a kiss. I didn't toss it in the ocean, I'm far too worn for futile hope. Instead, I stored it in the place I put my dreams, my fears, and oaths, in the most special part of me. I stored it in my poems.
Man. Oh, you blow me away. You really. I'm going to shut up and let you unpack that one for me, man, because, geez, you could just go on there. Yeah. We are so guilty of fitting things into compartments or bottles, as you said,
Yeah.
like, because it feels comfortable for us, right?
And it's safe.
Yeah, and it's not the truth. So I'm going to let you unpack that one for me, you know.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's that thing of like, um, where where does pain go for me? And I find a lot of the time I take pain or loss, or grief, and I store it in poems. For me, it's like the archival nature of poetry is like poems can be a way to keep things alive for eternity because they, even though the moment is gone, the the feeling and the experience lives forever in the poem. And that's, yeah, for me it's like poetry is that message in a bottle. It's like taking a feeling, putting it in a bottle, and then tossing it into a proverbial ocean where it floats for eternity until someone picks it up and pulls it out and has a read or a listen, um, and they get to experience that emotion that you packed away, and set free into the world, which I think is a really cool, like, thing that poetry can do is, carry these little messages in bottles across oceans and preserve that real and raw feeling that we maybe lose or put away.
Yep, yep. And it's something that perhaps even, once we're dead and gone, that maybe generations we leave behind, like our children or grandchildren or anybody, it probably give them a chance to know what made us tick, what of our
Mm,
things
yeah,
that
who we
talk
were.
about, you know.
Yeah.
So, so it is eternal in those respects. And when you look at most of the, not that I ever expect to be any in the same basket, but if you look at some of the great poets or the great narratives, like or you know the words of the Gandhis and so forth like that,
Mm,
they live on and they're the gift that keeps giving, right? The
yeah.
Shakespeare, the Pablo Nerudas, their work is never fades, never dies. If you looked at science, the works of the Isaac Newtons and all that, life still is founded on those, right?
Literally, it's timeless.
Yeah, yeah. And brother, your work is timeless. Your work is most relatable. Your work is not targeted at a specific person in a specific point in life. Your work is for everybody from any walking from any corner of the world. Your work is most relatable.
Thank you. And I guess, like, selfishly, that's it's one of the reasons why I got into writing is like it's a way to live forever. It's that saying of like, um, you're you're never truly gone until like the last person remembers you, or like the last person who remembers you or knows your name when they
Mm.
die. That's when you are now truly gone. Um, but with like having something tangible in the world, like I'll exist until the last person who has a copy of this book, as long as it's like one of these is in the world, I'm still there.
Yeah.
Which I think is nice. It's like
Yeah, and I think, yeah, if I, like I said, can relate to you, to your every one of your pieces that I hear, or have heard, but I'm sure, so could my mother and father, so could my grandparents, and I'm sure so could
Mm.
my son. And I don't have any grandkids yet, but so I'm sure someday even they would relate to, because they're non-personal. They're not tied to a time or an event. Tied to the human journey that really hasn't changed in 2 decades. We're still, it's just a very slow spiral upwards, but it's
Yeah,
a seems a perpetually slow spiral, because really, when you look at, uh, what the hell people were killing each other for in biblical freaking times, and what the hell people are killing each other now, right? To me, not a shitload has changed. It really hasn't.
100%.
Here's somebody who just came into the room, Janaya. She's from Canada. She goes through the Looking Glass Poet. She runs a amazing, humorous lady, and as she just said, absolutely, I have written so much for my children. I want them to always have my heart and voice, right?
Mm.
And that's true, right? Um, yeah. So I'm going to shut up and let you keep going, because I could sit here and just say not say a word and let you keep starting. We've got about another 40 minutes or so left, so I want you
Oh,
to
we got time.
showcase. And also, do share, like, most of our Melbourne people are probably still asleep, being a Saturday morning, right? Because most of the guests in the room and all have been from literally Canada, UK, Nigeria, US, and things like that.
Mm.
Our Melbourneites are still sleeping on this cold Saturday.
On the go. Yeah, it'd be like
But
that.
But what I have found is a lot of people now, compared to 12, 18 months ago, are actually watching the replay
Mm.
3 weeks later even, and commenting. So uh,
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight to of all the hosting events and all that you got happening in Melbourne as well, because I only very recently learned that you were running there you go, it's a hot Canadian evening, and we've got
Woo!
and for them it's Friday, right? So Saturday.
Friday night.
Yeah, we're Back to the Future here at LG. Uh, so, yeah, just I want like you to highlight some of the live events and all that got happening, because, like me, I only very recently learned of your Thin Red Line, is it? Or
Yeah, Thin Red Lines.
where does that happen? When does it happen? And what's it about?
Um, cool. So we do it quarterly. Um, so every 3 or so months, just because it's so much easier to do things spaced out than to try and do like a monthly gig. And we essentially, it's like a curated lineup, so it's no open mic. It's just we curate for feature artists. Um, and it's like we created it to be a space of difference, but also like a space of experimentation. Because I run with George Cartus, who's also like a writer, performer, poet. Um, and we were finding that there so often like it's either open mics or slams as like the main ways that we could like access people's work. Um, and we're going to like all these events, but like seeing these incredible writers and being like, I want more of you. I want to see what else you're doing outside of like a 5 minute spot here and there. Just like 5 minutes here, 2 minutes there, 3 minutes. It's like, I want to see your full breadth and depth of work. Um, so we started Thin Red Lines 6 years ago.
Right.
And it's just like I said, we curate for artists that like we love, whose work we think is really cool, and then give them like 20 minutes to just like do whatever they want. They can do new stuff, they can do old stuff, they can do stuff in progress. It's just like show us what your practice is. And I think what's been really important for us is like breaking that separation between like page poetry and like stage performance poetry. Is like we bring whatever you're doing, which has been really cool because like a lot of people brought like interactive things and like, you know, getting projections up and like music and just breaking the bounds of like what poetry can be, just like experimenting, and doing like throwing genre out the window, throwing discipline out the window, and just being like, we are artists, like we are making art. It doesn't have to like, poetry doesn't have to look one way or the other. It can just be whatever it is that we are working on. So yeah, really cool. Come through.
Yeah.
It's our next one is in August, some date in August. August 14th, I want to say.
August 14th.
Yeah.
August 14th. Can you do me a favor? Because I live life on the split second, right? Like, suddenly somebody could from Darwin, from Cairns, they could buzz me and say, Giles, I need a favor. I'm on a plane and I'm there, right? So I live I'm like a kite without a string, right? So can you do me a favor and just ping me and remind me, send me the details of the venue
Oh
because
yeah.
I'd love to come and just be a member of the audience and just listen in. And you wouldn't have um, um, a shortage of artists here in
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, that's our
you
biggest
know
problem. Is that
you got people like
we are
that.
literally have a list of people, and because we only do it quarterly, so it's like four events a year, and we only have four artists at a time. So we literally just have this long ass list of like everyone that we meet and think is dope, and be like, oh, we'll get you one day, like we'll get you, and we're just like going through the list.
Jane runs a show on Zoom that once a month I think it is. I used to be able to go to it, but since I started a new working for a new organization 18 months ago, it's been hard. I've been really busy, so I haven't been able to attend a lot of Jane's shows. She runs a similar thing where she has four featured guests, goes for a couple of hours, and there's no
Mm,
censorship. And I've gone and been I used to be able to go more often and be a member in the audience on Zoom.
yeah,
But yeah, Jane runs a very similar thing. Yeah, let me know.
yeah,
I'd love.
so good.
Yeah,
And it's yeah, I feel like people really resonate with like being given the opportunity to like um to play more and to like showcase a broader breadth of their work and just be
yeah,
like, this is where I'm at as an artist. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'm feeling. This
yeah.
is what I'm putting together.
Man, and in having people like Toriro Mwondo and all that, who's also featured on this show, probably nearly a year ago, probably tail end of last year. She's an amazing performer, and I can
Yeah.
imagine a night full of having people like that perform. Man, 20 minutes at a pop, I'm
Oh,
in. I'm in to come and listen and have a drink and sit back and then get entertained.
oh yeah, it's always a vibe. And that's like the cool thing is like um in the curation of the lineup is like seeing the magic of how the different artists work
Yeah,
somehow always just like creates conversation with each other, and it just like it becomes this broader show, even though like each of the individual four artists, like none of them are working collaboratively. When they all come together on the night, it's just like by the magic of being together, somehow there's through lines that appear and just like intersections in the work, and you can just see like people are thinking of the same things, they're engaging with the same things, they're experiencing the same things, and it all like comes together, which is really beautiful.
my mind is racing over time here because sometimes, like Ram, who you know, who popped
Yeah.
in, his childhood friend that he runs a show with, that from when they were in Jamaica, and then his friend moved over here quite a few years before. Then Ram moved to Canada, and now they
Mm.
run this life together. Childhood friends who still got that friend in adulthood. I featured each of them separately on the show, and then I had them together. And while you were speaking, I'm thinking, yes, maybe I should speak to yourself and Tariro, for example, or the lady that I've got featuring in 2 weeks' time. She's from Nigeria,
Mm.
Adaze Unko. I think having a future feature with yourself and Adaze, or yourself and Tariro, because I think, I'm just seeing how your work will really complement each other, and the discussions. I'd be able to just shut up and just let you guys just go. Yeah, let's talk on that, because I think you and
Yeah.
Teresa, or you and Denise Chapman, even, there's
Oh,
another.
love Denise.
I've actually invited Denise to be on the show, but she's had a bit going on. She said the
Yeah.
timing's not right, but she'll get back to me. So I'm waiting for her to buzz me and say, Rainier, let's do this.
Okay.
But it'd be really great to have yourself and Denise together as well. Another
Oh,
beautiful soul, selfless, you know.
ah, it's favorite. Even Terry. Just the best.
We've got about another half an hour, so I want you to go crazy with your poetry and just showcase to these people. I'll just shut up and just, yeah.
Cool. Let's see what else we're working with. What else we're going with. Um, this is a bit of a more experimental piece, which is like narratively experimental. Um, yeah, that's all that's all the context it needs. Um, it's called Moribund. This is not a thing of beauty, nor the abject object of discontent. It is a clawing, crawling, crippling death. The reaper and the knell conjoined. I am not the speaker. You are not the reader. We are not who we should be anymore. December 7th, 1992. My dearest no one, it is your birthday. This is not a lie, nor the truth in its entirety. You will die soon. I cannot apologize for inevitability. All you have yet to achieve is wholly pointless. The trajectory is set, the compass biased by its own magnitude. This life will make marauders of us all. Do not go home. Stay a while. Leave the kettle to cool, mismatch the stocks, make the most intentional mistakes. You are worthy of them all. Postscript. If you should be so foolish as to fall in love. Right. Always. Anyone forget everything this was meant to be. Strip the scripting from the scripture. These hallowed pages were always soaked in pagan ink. In forest raven pasted against mute swan, congregations likened to flocks, their hearts tipping against the plume of Mart. Is this all that will remain after life? Act 2. Interior casket day. The body lies dormant in the blackness. There is only silence, decomposing matter, and the void. No one. I expected something more. Cut to exterior cemetery night. The funeral procession is gone. A lone figure looms above the fresh grave, lights a cigarette. Narrator, voice over, ashes to ashes, dust to despair. Scene. Remember when this sawed us in half? Did you forget the incorrect expectation? Our toil to make art from our undiscarded viscera, our incompetent exercise in bloodletting left for more modern therapies. All we wanted was to be known as men of letters. Instead, scrawled illegible scribblings as sigils scratched on our eyelids, words toward Quran from our final journey. Epitaph. Engraving and entombing are two very different methods of the same preservation. May this last an eternity. Forgive me. I am as troubled as I am persistent. As haunted as I am ghostly or ghastly, I do not intend to leave destruction in my wake. These now trampled chrysanthemums remind me that only dead things belong here. I remain as unseen as a twist of the ring of Gyges, unjust in my disappearing. And for all the time spent mourning, what remains is this, not a thing of beauty.
Engraved and tuned in. Yeah, yeah, same thing, right? The
Yeah.
Egyptian people still go and give respects, but poets can be, yeah. So, yeah, man. As I said, I I haven't heard a piece of yours that each of the lines are reflective on their own individually, and then collected together as one piece.
And I think that's, yeah,
Thought provoking.
it's lived, yeah, like I said, it's like that's a bit of my writing process. Is like I write in blocks and they come together to make a greater whole.
LG said that you're a pleasure to listen to. You should consider voice work. You know, really, you have got, as I said at the very start of the show with your first piece, your cadence and your enunciation is perfect for space
Oh, thank you.
because look, there's performers sometimes who get out there and you know, even at open mic sessions or be it on lives, and I'm not criticizing them by any means. They deliver it to a cadence, to a like a hip hop cadence or a um, but I lose. I get so little from it. I lose a lot because it just goes in such a. But your cadence just lets every word. You're one of the few poets where and yet you have so many powerful lines that I can keep up. Whereas what happens to me is I get Turero's a classic where some of her lines are so powerful, I get so stuck on it, and my mind's absorbed on that. I've lost the next six, seven good lines, right? But somehow with yours, I have a good, I can absorb and just maybe I'm getting better at listening or capturing it, framing it, and keeping up with the piece. But you know, I know a lot of people who do it like a lot of slam poets, even locally. You know, like sometimes it's just such a rapid cadence that rhythmic sort of fast cadence that I miss half the good lines that they've
Yeah,
written.
100%. It
You
can,
know,
like, it happens.
yeah. And don't get me wrong, you know I think that's an art on its own, and I fully
Yeah.
give all the respect it has. Um, but yeah, I'm a bit old school. I prefer this um, better pace sort of cadence that allows me to absorb and feel part of that image that the person's painted in their words.
Mm,
You know, take it away, brother. Take it away.
can do. Um, this is called Virtual Disparity. It's kind of about video games, which I love. It's like if I'm not doing poetry, I'm playing video games. That's my life.
Before I forget, there was a question again by a member of the audience. I can't remember. Or I think, therefore, I slam. I think was asking when's the next book coming. So this
Coming soon.
coming here to near you.
Stay tuned this summer. Anyway, virtual disparity. It's highly probable that none of this is real. Everything I think and feel is predetermined. I am plugged in. Impatiently placating within a state of play. Life is a game. This thought does not console me. My console constantly overheats from overplay. Escaping is waiting in this station of stasis. Won't you Stay online a little longer. Don't leave me so lonely. Let's co-op one more campaign. Let's grow up and put the games away while the external world plays us as the architects of its own destruction. Post-apocalyptic survival at its finest, filled with enough moral ambiguity to appear human. It's all ones, zeros, and POC NPCs, the generation that put the hyper in realism, the snow crunch under boots, the skin slick with sweat, the blood splatter in a disconcertingly accurate pattern. None of it is real. Or at least that's how history treats violence. Blame the skin for the damage and ignore the ultraviolet eyelets flicker adjusting to higher resolution. You never miss this moment with the faster shifting frame rate. My avatar is my namesake. It is pretending to be me. I am pretending to be it. Our performance is pejorative. We both do what we can to feel a sense of free will. If you will willingly push my buttons, watch my flawless response time, seemingly seamless, effectively effortless. I always find it easier to do what I am told. I was told it would get easier the further in I got, the more I leveled up, the bosses I defeated, the quests that were completed. When will the simulation end? I've spent days overwriting data, hoping that it would save me. Living in a screen is the only thing that saved me. To respawn in the morning until the game is over. Is the game over? Has it only just begun? Are you ready? Player 1. Press X to continue.
So, did you say that was inspired by a virtual game or
Yeah. I spend too much time playing video games, but also not enough time. I feel like video games are like the highest art form because it's like music, story, sound design, interactive play, visual design. So it's all these different art forms coming together into like something that you can play and something that you can interactively engage with, which is just like blows my mind every time. Video games, peak art.
Very true, very true. I'm not a gamer myself, but as I'm listening to you, and now you'd probably recall, or the audience would recall my words at the start. You can be inspired and write about such a variety of things, but always, always, always that underlying message that one can get on life's journey, can relate to in life's journey. You know, highly probable that none of this is real. I
Ooh,
don't,
we're living in a simulation.
I don't see life as real. Just a passage in my soul's growth, right?
Yeah.
Minute I accepted that, that's why I've grown up with no fears and I'm not shy of pain. I would blindly get into something, a friendship, I'd blindly get into a business relationship, I would blindly, well, knowingly, but not blindly, get into
Mm,
a relationship, knowing that what the person's after from me is not what I'm looking for, but
yeah.
I'll play their game to help them, right? Because I don't sort of feel that pain as such because I know um, um, life itself is that illusion for me, right?
Mm,
And if
100. Oh, I feel that.
I've written that many poems where life, the state of illusion. Matter of fact, I've got poems with that title. So through that, I've had no fear because when people said, "Are you crazy riding around this country on your own?" You know, there's some pretty wild. Well, have you seen the movie, the two movies, Wolf Creek?
Yes.
No.
Ooh.
Well, I was in many towns like that, man, on a motorbike, right? I rode through many towns like that for 10 years. But to me, because to me life is that illusion,
Mm,
if somebody did decide to take my life, they've done me a favor, they've set me
yeah.
free. Right? So I've had no fear for that. So again, from that video game movie, I mean, your very first or second line, highly probable that none of this is real. I could relate that to my life, right?
Yeah.
And if you will push my buttons, for many years, uh, Melbourne was a very different Melbourne to what we know now. When I grew up here in the 70s,
Mm.
the first the dark-skinned complexion people migrating here and so forth. Like I was the only dark-complexioned kid in the northern suburbs in a school of 500. Man, this was the time of the skinhead gang. So I grew up through that wild times. And
Yeah.
people could press buttons and I danced. All somebody had to do was say, and I was an arrogant, wild child myself. If somebody to make me dance, people would press buttons. They'd say, "Hey, so and so said this about your color." Man, no rhyme or reason. I was at their throats. I was just, throwing them up against the walls and
Yeah.
blackboard. All this, people danced, and then I would have been in my mid-20s
Mm.
when somebody who stood for everything that I was against. He tried to get his own daughter declared mentally unstable so she couldn't leave home because she was going out with me and I was dark complexion, right? Somehow it's snapped in my, and we went out. He was 6'5", mother arsehole he was. We've gone out, we've come back, middle of Buckley Street, middle of midnight. I've still got one arm in a seatbelt and he's taken pot shots at my head. And something snapped in my, and I was in the peak of training that time. I could have dropped this bastard, right? Something snapped in my head and I wanted him to vent his anger on me so that she was safe.
Mm.
And that changed my life from then on. People couldn't press buttons for me to dance. So again, I could relate to that so much in life, and yet you've written it about a video game, right? When will the simulation end? Well, that's when I take my last breath, right?
That's the only escape.
Until the next episode comes out, until 2027 version comes out, when I decide to reincarnate again, right? Until then, the simulation will go on. So, man, as I said, I can line up your poetry to life, and I can reflect on it. I can write a narrative on each of your pieces because they are good, and that's, to me, that's what poetry should do, right?
Mm.
It's not, to me, it's not about showcasing my understanding of grammar and how I can twist and rhyme words and shit like
Yeah.
that. Me, if there's a word, go in competitions and do that stuff, right?
There's a place for that.
But when I read somebody's work, I want it to stimulate my thoughts.
Mm.
I want it to give me direction when I'm lost. I want it to drag me away from the edge of destruction, from the brink of doing something silly, right?
Yeah.
And your work does that, Thabani. It really does.
Yeah. I can't take compliments. Stop it.
No, it is true because it is, but as I said, you can write about a damn video game and, well, you heard what I just got out of it, right? How much of it I could relate to my wildlife, right?
Yeah.
So, believe it, and never underestimate the power of your spoken word. Doesn't matter what your driver, what the instigator is. Your works.
Mm.
I'm going to let you got about another 15 minutes, just over 15 minutes. I'm going to let you go and share as much of your work as you can and shut up. I'm sorry I keep saying that, but I can't.
No, I love it. I love the conversation because, like, that's for me. That's the most interesting part of the poem. Is like when we talk about it, and it's like, oh, what resonated with you? What did it remind you of? What did it bring out in you? That's when, like, because it's like I take my experience, put it in the poem, and then you bring your experience as you hear the poem or read the poem, and then through that meeting of experience in the poem, we create a secret third experience that we now both like.
Well, I said that line there, if you push my buttons, that was a very key point in to me. Because up until that point, my own mother used to pray every day that I would learn to turn the other cheek because I was well on my way to a prison. Right?
Mm.
I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I'd probably be dead by now or locked in a prison. Right? So that man who stood for everything I was against probably gave me the biggest opportunity that I was given in life to overcome one of my biggest weaknesses, and that was to learn to turn the other cheek. I was a child of vengeance. I lived with vengeance. I would go and smack somebody 2 years later because I was a kid and I couldn't pay him back at the time. 2 years later, when I was bigger, I've gone taken care of business and said, and they go, "What the hell is this for?" And I say, "That's for what you did 2 years ago."
2 years
That's
ago.
time, right? You can see where this life was going. I was the hangman's rope, man, or doctor spent life in a jail, right? And my mother used to plead, and yet this person who stood for everything I was against probably gave me the biggest opportunity to overcome my biggest weakness.
Mm.
I should, if I met him now, I would probably shake his hand and thank him.
Yeah.
Back then, I wanted to kill him, but right, thank him, right?
And that's the growth.
Yeah. And my point I'm making is some of the best gifts in life come from most unexpected places.
100%.
So take it away, brother.
Okay. This is almost a love poem. I don't know. It's a relationship poem. It's called Tempo. You were the 1, 2, 3, 4, like tempo counting, like moved, like music, like count me in. I was never picked to play, like who was good at adolescence anyway, like bad jokes. Write it off to timing, like time stopped, or for a second I stopped counting. It was fine. It was 5, 6, 7, 8, like good choreography and bad dancers, like our bodies weren't built to burn this way, like how a furnace is just a fireplace with gas, like body heat in winter. Last winter was so fucking cold. Last winter, fuck you, cold. It went to voicemail, like I can't come to the phone. It's not on vibrate, it's on silent. Like, are you listening? Like, leave a message, like leave a like and subscribe. Like I said, it was fine. Like, it's fine. Like everybody's favorite lie. Like you were my favorite line break. No, that's not quite right. Like how you hate that I turn people into poems. Like I can't love them unless they're on the page. Like you are never on the page. I like it that way. It keeps you mine. 9, 10, like running out of time, like opening your eyes, like you seek and I know where to hide.
So relatable. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes those relationships just end for no explainable reason either, right? It's just we don't see through each other's eyes and what we see and what we desire. Yeah. That, and you can, and that coldness, yes, in the heat of 40-degree heat, like it's quite cold, right? When emptiness is there.
Is there? Oh,
And yet when the fires of love are burning, even on a freezing cold winter day, you feel warm and sunny right inside. So, man, yeah. So, are you got any plans to attend any open mics in the upcoming weeks, or?
um, possibly like what's it called? No, it's no longer radio bar. It's chaotic museums.
Yep, at Creatures of Habit Bay. It's only 100 meters up the road from there. I usually go to that one most fortnights.
Yeah,
So it's on
and
Wednesday. Um,
yeah, Wednesday.
yep. So it's only 100 meters up from Radio Bar on the same side of the street um, at Creatures of Habit Bar. Yeah, I'd more than like to see you there if you are going. So Thabani, as I said, once I've before we go to a closing piece, as I said, this is only the first time, not the last. And once I create the YouTube and the Spotify, I will send you the links. Feel free to use them as you wish. And also, when I post this, I'll add you as a collaborator, so you can, if you elect to post it on your own page as well, if you so wish. And as I said, it's only the first time, but not the last. So you are welcome anytime, man. It's an honor
Yeah.
to have you, and it's been great showcasing your work. And I've loved every piece you've
Yeah.
shared.
It's been
Uh,
phenomenal just catching up with you.
Man, and you've had some great people, some really good people, powerful people that I've known for a while. When I say powerful, within this community, within this poetry community, who hosts like Jane, she runs her own Zoom show once a month, and that she gets some brilliant artists there. LG's been running shows through Glass of Mead and her own lives and so forth, and
Mhm.
writes a lot of people's work. Ram is constantly got a lot of skin in the game. So you've
Love
had
Ram.
amazing people come through the room. Mr. Witz, yeah, he and Gifted, they run uh, um, lives on Zoom as well, literally every week, 2 hour sessions. So yeah, there's a lot of people have come through the room, and a days as always, my friend. I can't wait for featuring you in 2 weeks' time. You, Tom DeSaro, people like yourselves are here every fortnight supporting the guests that I feature on this show, and your comments really help to elicit more of the featured artists, because your feedback is really, through your comments, is very important. It helps the artist to give and showcase more of themselves. Jane, it's been a pleasure having you come through here, and yeah, as James just said, Mr. Wits and Gifted Johnson, they spread the love every week on their Zoom show, and they're just two beautiful people. So you've had some great people come through here, and I'm glad that even Ram was able to connect with you after quite a few
Yeah.
years, right, man? And as I said, a lot of people are now watching the show even weeks later.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you so much for having me. Like, it's been a
man,
vibe.
right, it really has. So I'm going to let you um, take the stage with your closing piece. And Thabani, thank you, heartfelt thanks for making the time to come on the show and agreeing to come on the show. It's been a pleasure having you. And remember, it's an open door, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Like, I've enjoyed this beyond description.
I'm glad, so glad.
Okay, this piece is called Morning Stars. I feel like I performed this once. It was like I wrote it for a specific event, and that was the only time that I ever read it. So I was like, yeah, let's bring it back. Let's bring it out. Anyway, it's called Morning Stars. Tell me, who grieves the stars? Their light delayed on borrowed time arrives a little late. Not quite deceased, displaced through time suspended in arid dust that likens ash a pious end. Harbingers of what was then, illuminates our now, how quickly we forget, how quickly we grew up. I dreamt that we still danced across the universe, together, as two comets, hurtling through the infinite once, and it burned, or thrice for poor measure. I remember twice. Shy is just another way to say the expanse looks empty from the right distance. An inconsistent spatial measurement, an abandoned heliocentrism. Soul should have never been the binding heart. It is no wonder. Luna longs for darkness, wanes to tide over. The night sky is often misdescribed as somber. The same is said for death, doomed moons, collapsing constellations, myriad misrememberings. Yesterday, when you were here, began a stone's throw away. Today spent skipping stars from galaxy to light. Tomorrow comes forward with light-fold warp, a bridge between 2 points that always looks so tiny from afar. You strangely seem so far. And for abhorrence of a vacuum, I simply cannot say goodbye, will not say goodbye. Instead, I will allow your light to linger, as flipped photons that can kiss the mirrors in our eyes, forever floating. A slow and warming glow in orbital rotation, defying time, defying space, defying loss in hopes to breach eternity. So tell me, is there still worth to morning stars? Their fated fall reflected in remembrance, a stretched, unbroken line, a single measure life, sincere in its defiance, and each moonrise. We wake to sleep, to lie between the hours as they pass, and lost remains crepuscular until dawn.
That is a perfect closing piece. It was profound, it was warm, it was enticing, it was reassuring, it was everything. It was a perfect closing piece
No,
that
thank you.
just leaves me in such a warm, comfortable, confident place to know that I am where I need to be at the right time.
100%. Like
Right.
that's all it is.
And that piece left me feeling like that, it is that mother or father that who are now in heaven, who are no longer here to tap me on the shoulder and say, son, okay.
It's okay.
And that piece says it all. Thabani, a humble honor, my friend.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Such a great start to my Saturday. I'm like, let's go see the day now.
Yeah. And as I said at the start, and I'll say it again, crossing paths with you through our poetry, through our word, has been a very valuable gift in my humble life. It really
An
has.
absolute joy.
Thank you to everybody in the audience again who's been in and out. And and I hope that each of you who have been in the room or who will watch the show at a later convenient time have received as much enjoyment of meeting this man as I have in work. God bless Thabani.
All right. Well, see you in the traps.
Will do. Hopefully next week we'll catch up. See you, man.
Cheers.
Stay blessed. Stay safe. And see you in 2 weeks' time.